Okay, so hello everyone. We are here for another episode of Life and Law. It looks like Francesca Amato tried to join the TikTok live stream on TikTok. Looks like she's one of our first viewers here. Um, we're live on YouTube, TikTok, as well as um, what else are we on? Facebook. So we have our special guest today, which our special guest is a father. His name is Justin. And would you like to introduce yourself?
How you doing? I'm Justin Nicely. I'm a single father of four babies. Once former victim of Child Protective Services and as well as the family court system, and one of the few walking success stories that was able to, you know, get the system out of his life and be able to raise his children with the most least system involvement as possible, and now advocating out here on the front line of the state of Ohio and nationally to try to get an overhaul on the family court system.
Okay. And thank you so much for coming on, and I appreciate it. So I know that last night there was a lot of things that I had posted regarding Francesca Amato, who calls herself an ADA advocate or some type of legal advocate, and attempts to try to, sell people legal filings. She was behind this group, which started the so-called Family Justice and Accountability Act, which turned out to be fake. She has taken a lot of money. I posted maybe like $20,000 in receipts last night alone from only like 4 or 5 different people. And so I know that usually she's charging people like $3,000 for one motion from ChatGPT about like the ADA. And so I know that you had reached out to me and said that you had some experience with Francesca. So why don't you share your experience with her?
Well, my personal experience, what I did is what we do is foundational basis investigating, reporting, and to know what it is you're dealing with and do deep dives and look into matters. And with that comes auditing and asking, very simple, direct questions after looking into matters. Um, I first approached as I wanted to basically on these audits, and it's been dated back since August of 2024 was my first contact with, the Family Justice Accountability Act and Francesca Amato. And the first way I approached them was as a victim of Child Protective Services. I made it sound, extreme, severe, that, explaining the level of corruption that we're dealing with, explaining, the falsified reports and the kidnapping, the trafficking, the documented molestations and abuses and neglect taking place against the babies and such. And was basically, in a way, reaching out at that time for help, and to which the response was not from Francesca, but from a Christine that sent me some type of link. I followed the link, into which, it dives me further into a pay to play deal. And the only thing that's going through my mind is, as a victim and everything, because by this point, again, my case was done with Child Protective Services. I was probably like their biggest nemesis now, and my kids were home and such. But I just wanted to see, standpoint wise, advocacy. What are they out here doing? What are they out here doing to expose this, and what are they out here doing to, help those that come forward? And the first thing that went through my mind is like, my God, how many victims are out here? These a lot of the people I've dealt with, they don't have anything left. I mean, this system will destroy you. It'll destroy you emotionally, financially, and even physically take a toll on you. And when these people are out here reaching out for help, you're asking these people for money, and that was concerning. And so I let that go, and then I tried approaching them again back in January of 2025, to which I this time approached to them as a victim of the family court aspect. Um, Explained to them I'm a victim of paternity fraud. I wanted to really hit the concept of the single father aspect. A lot of people that were coming to me, I was getting side reports of that they're extremely biased towards men. Um, am extremely biased towards fathers. And so I decided to come at them at the approach of, the single father mindset. I'm a victim of paternity fraud. I have a, trial, here in, a couple of weeks. Is there anything you guys can do to help me, at least spread the word, anything y'all can do to help? To which, again, sent a link for $190 consultation for, briefly to discuss it and this, that, and the other. And it's like, wow, this is what you do to the victims. And then the final one, it's all right, Bear. It's okay. She'll get out in a second. My daughter's having a fight with her cat. The third approach was actually when they started doing the big viral deal on October, and when they were going to DC for the Family Justice Accountability Act to approach Congress, and they were going to be sitting in front of the Congression, and all these people were signing on to their bill and everything in this act. So, what's up, Bear? What do you need out of your house, Spooky Butt? Your hula hoop? Okay, I think I can help definitely with that. Oh my goodness. Sorry about
It's
that.
okay.
My third
I'm
approach
good.
was, to the actual Family Justice Accountability Act and approaching Congress. You want it out? You got it. And to which I was explaining that, we have a whole constituent, several carpools ready to go. We're willing to pay, for their hotel stay. We're willing to pay for their, trip and expense there. But the only thing that we were wanting to know is that exactly, what's the itinerary? What's the plan? We don't want to go there on, some faults and pipe dreams. And because I explained that, first, I made it very clear that the constituents that I represent were of the impoverished status. They, didn't financially have much money, and I'm a voice for those people that, necessarily don't always have that type of voice to speak out for them. And because of such, and I was reaching out to as a collaborative effort in the fight and what we can do. What could we do to help? And I could not get a direct question to any direct answer to any question that I asked. I couldn't get an itinerary. I was getting to run around as far as, about what the Congression actually was. Are we actually going to be able to speak before them? Are we actually going to be talking to our leaders to address the issues at hand? All of this was a run around. Then finally it went to, oh, well, we don't even know if we're going to have room in the in the room anyway. I don't think it's even going to be open, but basically you can come all the way to DC and wave a little sign in the hallway. And it was like, again, I came to, I laid everything on the table, offered, the olive branch to, collaborate and, unite efforts and such, even told them, the amount of people we had coming, and it was a complete blow off. And again, it was more of you don't really have anything financially to offer us, so therefore you're not really relevant to what it is that we're doing. And
So
again,
just to like clarify, just to make sure I'm on the same page as you. So this was like the week of October 20th when she was saying that she was going to have this like DC thing, and everyone was like, oh, this is going to change our life and everything. So like, I'm sorry, which state are you from again?
I'm in Ohio.
Okay. Yes, so you were trying to get other parents together to go to DC, and you were trying to just ask like logistics and details and get all of the information because you're planning ahead for a trip and it involves money and time and planning. And so are you saying that like the more you tried to ask questions, the more Francesca just kept like giving excuses or like leaving you guys in the dark, and then you decided not to go?
Well, what basically happened was, first, it wasn't even a matter of even being able to talk to Francesca because of the availability, and her time is just ever so precious. And you got to understand that it's, that's basically what it was that was being played off by, I believe it was Christine, who it was the main person I was talking to, who was also frustrating. He said her billing assistant or such. And it's like, well, damn, dude, you guys.
No. Clarice is her assistant, but Clarice isn't real. She doesn't exist. It's actually a fake. I swear to God, she made a fake Facebook with a fake AI profile picture. Nobody has ever seen Clarice, spoken to Clarice. Like, Clarice, if you're out there and you exist, join the live stream and prove that you're real, because everybody who knows Fran said it's like a fake page that she literally created just for the simple fact to make it seem like she's so busy that she needs an assistant. And like 2 years ago, I had emailed her because I filed a lawsuit and a lot of people were reaching out to me and stuff. And she was one of them. And she's like, yeah, we can talk. I'm like, okay. She's like, I'll send you an email. She sends me an email saying if I want to talk to her, I have to pay like $250 for like a phone call with her.
That's it.
And it's
Yes,
like,
that's what
it's
it
like,
was
this
sent.
is,
For
yeah.
the
And
love
then like
of
when
price of, it's like, wait, what?
yeah, just for a phone call, like just to talk
Yeah.
to you, I have to pay. Like, and so I'm just like, what? And then like looking back at that email, she was like, oh, this is Clarice. This is Francesca's assistant. She's very high demand. So please make the payment now.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all
That's
like, it's like a marketing strategy to create this, this illusion of like a sense of urgency. It's like how when a store will say, you have, oh, sale ends today only. You know what I mean?
Oh
High
yeah, they
demand.
hit that fear of loss factor, which is
Yeah,
just hard.
exactly.
Because,
Like
I mean,
FOMO.
and that's what stinks too, because if you think about it, I mean, a lot of these people, when they are at that point to where they are reaching out to, people like us, like advocates out here that are speaking out. I mean, you got to think these people are in desperate times already. I mean, if you're reaching out to somebody that you see on the damn internet, you know nothing about these people. And so, I mean, that shows already that these people are on a foundational level of trauma that knows no bounds. And then these just to take advantage like that, the way I'm looking at it, either you're in this to 10 toes deep to actually help or to profit. And off of the one of the worst things that you could try to go profit off of, that makes you no better than the abusers and the narcissists and the alienators and the system derelicts that we're dealing with on an everyday basis. What makes you any different? If anything, I would categorize them right just above the chomos as far as that's concerned, because of that's how offensive I find that you're going to charge people begging for help, and all on the foundational base of fraud. You have no foundational success of your own to offer these people. And that's the one thing that I did come to find out while doing a deep dive on her is she she's still legitimately finding this out there. How many years? And what are you offering people? What foundation of success with your personal experience that you actually have that you're able to give it someone other than a bunch of damn hot air and hollow pipe dreams? And that was every red flag in his grandmother. And then that's when Francesca did come into the message thread all of a sudden and explain, oh, I barely have enough time. I barely even had enough time for the messages, let alone take a call from you. And to which she made it very clear that no, we don't have any more room now. And yeah, you can just come standing in a hall and wave a sign in support if you'd like. And it was just like, appreciate it. So that's when I started, getting the word out to majority of those that I work with and deal with on a weekly basis. I deal with the Ohio Coalition of Indian Qualified Immunity, other main advocate groups here just locally in our state that are, again, frontline warriors, 10 toes in, legitimately selfless in the cause and genuine, and not running damn Ponzi schemes at the expense of victims and children. So I just feel that the more we have that foundational base of truth, transparency, accountability, and exposure, which is one of the most powerful weapons we as advocates have out here. And what better way to warn victims, others to just beware of who it is that you go to, and understand that this lady and her movement and her cause and her act is not everything that it's cracked out to be, from what I've been able to find out.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, it's just kind of really scary how like she will just viciously turn on and retaliate anybody who tries to like warn anybody or speak the truth. And it's like, not only will she like incite her cult followers to like, because it is like a cult mentality, especially the way that she likes to talk about God and say like, oh, God sent me this message, I got this vision from God, the Holy Spirit told me this. Like, so then people in her group who are like religious or like believe in God and are like faithful people will like be drawn to that, like, oh, this woman is an angel, or she's a prophet, or she's this, or she's gonna save us, like, and then they just like believe her even more, they fall for it even more, and then like she gets these people to do her dirty work. Like when she's banned from posting online, they're posting for her. When she like she literally will have these people go attack. Like I got attacked by like 6 people in the last like 6 hours that were all people that were her supporters coming to attack me. And if you look at like everything that she's posted lately, it's nothing about her bill. It's nothing about any of the movement. It's nothing about any actual real advocacy work that she's doing. The only thing she has dedicated her page to lately is trashing other people, like bashing me, telling people not to talk to me. And she said that I'm illegally practicing law. No, I'm not. I'm not illegally practicing law. I've never illegally practiced law. Even though I'm almost a lawyer, I'm not ever going out and saying I'm a lawyer. I tell people straight up, I'm not a lawyer, but here's my qualifications, here's my education, here's my credentials and experience, and here's what I can and can't offer. Somebody said in the comments on Facebook, please do not use the word lady, use this narcissist, control freak narcissist. And you know what? That is an excellent point, because she loves to throw out coercive control, narcissism. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to share something on my screen here. So this here is what Francesca started doing now. And it's interesting because like she didn't do this until many people from her group like came to me asking for help and stuff like that. So like now, right after people said that they got help from me, all of a sudden now she puts out this contract where if you want to talk to Francesca, if you want to be part of her group, you're required to sign this contract, and she needs a copy of the signed contract on file before you can be in her group, before you can do anything, right? So I have it up on the screen, right?
Questionable there for as far as the transparency aspect. Again, big red flag. And again, if you're asked to sign an NDA in order to join an advocacy group, there's something wrong there.
Exactly. And I've had multiple people message me, DM me last night saying she tried to get them to sign NDAs and things like that. So here where it says like you're giving her a permanent, unrestricted, perpetual rights. So in other words, perpetual rights means forever. You're granting her rights forever and ever and ever, that she has the exclusive rights to use and distribute any of the interview content of anything that you say to be on her Now network, okay? And then we have, this is the best part, exclusive advocacy affiliation requirement. Hold on, somebody's telling me there's no sound on YouTube.
Uh-oh.
Does it sound now? All right, whatever. We're going to repost this whole thing after on the podcast. But is it back to this? So, okay. Exclusive advocacy affiliation requirement. Due to the documented harm caused by unaffiliated advocacy groups, participant agrees, 1, to exclusively align with Punished for Protecting Inc., Family Justice and Accountability Act, and their authorized affiliates, aka Fran. 2, not to collaborate with outside advocacy groups, social media advocates, or organizations without express authorization. Okay, so she's basically saying that you have to sign this paper that gives her the rights to your image, voice, interview, and everything like that for the rest of your life forever. And that you have to agree that you will not ever get help from any other advocate. You cannot even associate with other advocacy groups, social media advocates, or organizations without her express authorization. So Francesca says you need her permission before you can talk to anybody else, before you can talk to me, before you can talk to you, before you can talk to anybody in the world. You need her permission. And if you don't, you're breaking the contract. You're contractually obligated to do this. And I don't think any of these
people that a God complex, I think, is what we would label that as far as that's concerned. And I mean, again, if you got to think of the whole entire long game of that, first you're signing over perpetuity forever, ever, never. Like she can hold you to that. And then secondly, again, why are you having to sign contracts and an NDA to volunteer? To Volunteer your time, your resource, your effort, your energy. And next to my kids, the most valuable and most precious thing that I know of that I have is my time. And for me to sign it over to somebody with a guy complex that with, again, no foundational experience as far as success is concerned on their end, I mean, that just sounds to me a little bit too iffy. And the other part that a lot of people need to look at when they're looking at the Justice Accountability Act, the big red flag that I saw is, how are you to have a copyright on a public bill? Someone please explain this to me. I don't understand that. That was just like one of the main things that really stuck out to me. If you go look at even on their profile, you'll see that little copyright symbol in the bottom left-hand corner of their public bill. So if someone can, again, just too many red flags, people, I again encourage everyone, do your research. This woman right here, unfortunately, every definition of the word of a narcissist and a clout chaser and an egomaniac and look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. But what are you really offering? And again, the energy and time invested to sit there and speak out against others that are legitimately out here fighting, or even, to have that time and energy. I don't understand it. I rather, if I'm going to speak, if I'm going to go live, it's got to be with a purpose. It's got to be for effort. It's got to be maintained on a subject matter pertaining to helping the cause as a whole. I don't see how that energy and effort is helping the cause in any way. How is that bringing one damn baby home? How is that uniting one mother and father to say, you know what? Screw these courts. Let's co-parent. Let's figure this shit out. Let's walk away from all of this madness and let's raise our family. I don't see any of the damn things that she's doing by going out here and raising a shitstorm with all these other people and doing this to other people, how this is helping any families out there. How is this helping these kids? It's not. And it just goes to show that, again, she's willing to, for her own selfish gains, her own selfish needs and principles, to, at the victims and children's expense, fulfill her own egotistical desires. And that will tell you everything you need to know as far as her and her movement.
Yeah. And, like if you look at like characteristics of a narcissist, characteristics of a cult leader, and characteristics of coercive control, there's similarities in all of those things. And one of the things that they do, and coercive control is a big part in how people get drawn into these like cult-like groups where, number one, they isolate you from your support system. So red flag, you're not allowed to talk to anybody except me. Sign a paper, you talk to me and nobody else. That's isolating you from support. It's isolating you from resources. That's abuse. Secondly, telling somebody like, I own you, I have all the rights, it's just like, again, like that's crazy. And then here she put, you cannot appear on other shows, interviews, podcasts, or media platforms unless you have prior approval from Francesca Amato. So you wouldn't be allowed to do this right now if it wasn't for her approving. I don't think she would approve of it. So it's like, if you were to sign this and then tomorrow she's mad at you, and then you came on my podcast today or whatever, she could then turn around and sue you for a breach of contract. And that's what people need to understand. If somebody says, sign this NDA, sign this agreement, sign this non-compete, you don't just sign it because this person has a lot of followers or because they're pretty or because they look like they know what they're talking about. You have to read it and understand it before you sign away your rights. And that's what this whole entire thing does. And like, she attacks, like, we have another comment from Facebook saying she attacks everyone. Oh no, she tells everyone to attack anyone she dislikes. And that is so true, because like, as soon as there's something she doesn't dislike, she did it to me. She does it to so many people where she's like, guys, go comment on this, go flood them with comments, go attack them. And it's like inciting like harassment and like potentially violence if you want to continue to like really like get people angry. Like who knows what these people will do. And so I was like shocked at how how much she did that. And then someone said, I'm affecting her income. She secludes people and makes them think that she's the only one who can help, and no real caring person secludes victims from help. And
Amen.
Her volunteers, and someone said her volunteers are her flying monkeys that attacked her this month, and she's terrifying and dangerous. Another girl said my jaw dropped when I saw her contract. And let's finish the contract real quick.
Yeah, man, it's scary.
And
It's
if anyone
petrifying.
signed this, like if anyone was coerced or forced to sign this and wants out, let me know, because that's a reason to break a contract if somebody forced you or threatened you or coerced you. And
Yeah, we
so,
can definitely turn this into the next roll of toilet paper in Charmin. Absolutely.
yeah, and then like you need approval to talk to anyone else. You need approval to go on other podcasts. You need approval to no. She gets all the rights to your videos. And then, oh, this is great. Any approved appearance must reference or include discussion of the Family Justice and Accountability Act. So if you do get permission to appear on a podcast or speak, if Francesca allows you to speak, you have to mention and discuss Family Justice and Accountability Act, or else you're cut off. Unauthorized appearances, interviews, or media engagements are strictly prohibited. Really?
That is a God complex. And I tell you what, I know most likely she's listening. My message
Oh, she's already
to
in the
her,
TikTok live.
well, I will say this. My message to her is, sweetheart, God does not like ugly, and you ain't fooling him. Just saying.
Yeah. And then somebody said, all of us that have been attacked and harassed by her should file a massive lawsuit against her for fraud, harassment, and etc. And someone said she also threatened team leaders if they don't work hard enough, they'll be pulled as team leaders, which is hilarious because these team leaders are volunteers. She should be paying them. She should be saying, I'm going to pay you to go spend 8 hours a day pushing my fake bill for free, because otherwise
They
you're
work
just
part-time?
no,
Wow.
they're working
I'm
for
saying
free.
that's
They're
our
like
that's our
slaves.
inside joke in the advocacy. 8 hour day. That's they work part-time?
Yeah, no, they're her indentured servants. And then about the lawsuit, I know on we're streaming this on TikTok as well, and Healing Out Loud too is another advocate slash creator who's on TikTok, and she has been very vocal about Fran. Fran has attacked her. You can go see 50 posts about her on Fran's page, and I believe that her and others have filed a federal lawsuit against Fran.
Awesome.
I don't know if she wants to
Well,
comment in the
hats
comments
off
about
to her.
that. I'll read it out. Yeah, I'm seeing at least
Hats off to
one
her.
new federal lawsuit against her, which we could hear more details about it. And then I'm planning to do whatever possible to take legal action against her, since I sent her a cease and desist last night, and her response was to then continue to harass me, verbally attack me, insult me. She even went so far as to say that I wish I was her, that I wish I could be her. Like, I don't think anybody out there wishes they could.
With that being said, Theodore, you bring up a really good point too, and validation. And I'm pretty sure you would most likely agree with this. But again, I don't like speaking for anybody else. But if you want to give a nod of approval on what it is that I'm saying, I cannot encourage and stress this enough to anybody that's involved in this. Our most biggest rule that we have out here is that you need to treat this like a religion. You document everything. Every single thing. Learn your recording laws in your state. If it's a one-party consent state, again, I'm not an attorney. I'm going to go ahead for legal disclosure, explain that nothing I say should be taken as legal advice. I am not any type of legal representative. I am just a single data from experience, speaking from the heart of what will save your ass that saved mine. Record and document everything. If you live in a one-party consent state, your golden ticket has been written. You record everything, and you don't even have to tell them you're recording, which is the most wonderful thing. And it is not only legal, it's 100% submissible in any court of law that you're using for any type of, procedure that you're trying to go through. The second thing is, if it's a two-party consent state, we teach a trick with that. Find a friend, bring them with you, record it. Again, every engagement, every phone call, every team meeting, if you can, try to sit there and write your judge before your court hearing and sit there and see if you can please have it recorded and get their response documented. It is absolutely imperative to treat that like a religion. You never know how that can save you. It literally might save your life. It can save your kid's life, your family's life. Document and record everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And even I had a police officer tell me one time that even if you even if you say that they tell you you can't record, for example, he said still record anyway, just for your own safety. And a lot of
Amen.
times and a lot of times states have like exceptions where if a crime is happening or if a crime is in the process of happening, like if somebody's doing something illegal, you have the right to record to protect yourself. And every state is different. Don't quote me on that. I know that in, at least in Connecticut, that's the case. So, yeah, I mean, and then just like to wrap up on here, like she then tries to entice people by saying that if they agree to this, they then can have an opportunity to be on a developing Netflix documentary series
I
or
love. I'm sorry, I love that one.
or potential series of or collaborations with Hulu, Warner Brothers, and other major media outlets. So anyone out there who knows people at Netflix, Hulu, Warner Brothers, or other major media outlets, can you please confirm or deny whether or not that's BS? Because I believe that that's a lie, and until I see otherwise, I'm gonna just assume it's a lie.
I have not seen any type of paperwork, any type of documentation, any type of contracts relating to such. I have not seen anything else, remotely relevant other than I was told that the conversations were in the midst. It's always some type of, behind the scenes, incognito, behind closed doors. Psh, 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 we're about to break it. It's like that's not the way we beat this. So kind of hard to believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she says, participant acknowledges that their involvement is intended to advance the federal FJAA, promote accountability, and support nationwide reform efforts. And you agree to uphold professionalism, avoid defamatory conduct, and maintain integrity. And this agreement is entered voluntarily and becomes binding. But it's not voluntary if you're telling people that they can only participate if they sign it. That's like coerced. And so
Yeah.
that's number one. And like number two, like she's over here saying like you have to maintain professionalism, avoid defamation, and stuff
But
like that.
doing
But like all they're doing is defamation. Like every day she's picking somebody else to attack. And now it just
Yep.
so happened to be me. And I just think it's so funny how she was all angry that I went live a week ago, didn't say a single word or post anything, even when she got out of Facebook jail. And then last night, she just randomly decides to start posting about me. Like, what were you just sitting there thinking about me for the whole week? And finally, you couldn't take it anymore and you had to say something? Like, and then it's like, what does she think? I'm just going to just sit there and not say anything. And then she's going psycho, sending me all these crazy emails, like attacking me. Like, and so here's some more comments. It said, don't forget, and this is from a former participant in her fake bill that went to DC. Don't forget, we all work for her for free, but she has to be paid for everything, as no one should work for free. And someone said, con artist comes to mind as well. You both are saying what I have been screaming from the rooftops since August. I tried to warn everyone the moment this all became clear. She wanted to exploit me and my children's story. Her contract would not hold up in court ever. Let's be serious. And that's silencing victims. In her abusive emails, she actually sends her threats to fake emails to make it look like she is intimidating you. Example, FBI.com. She literally did that last night. She sent me an email.
I heard about that one.
Hey,
I have heard about that. Yep, that's
yeah, and
another
like
story
I
I've
was like,
heard where she'll use the like the it looks like
FBI.com.
it's FBI, United States Department of Justice and such like that to freak victim. It's like, dude, why would you? I mean, again, these all these head games. I mean, the levels of narcissism are real out there, and there's different levels to this. She is right up there at the, danger. Will Robinson, danger, red flags, red flares, every single thing you could think of, alarms going off. It's there. I mean, that is the entire thing when it comes to her mentality and all of this. And I openly will call her out to, if she's more than willing to come live with me. Again, I'm about transparency and truthfulness and such on my main page, which is my local platform of Canton Hall of Shame. And to which I'll be more than willing to have a dialogue any day, any time of the week with Francesca to have legitimate questions that I was originally asking since August of 2024 to be answered about the Justice Accountability Act, about her movement, and about the claims and allegations that have come forward by many victims all across the country. And I'm hoping that she would be willing to take me up on that offer. I'm publicly putting it out there for the record for anybody that's listening that this offer is being extended to Francesca. Again, I'm about truth, transparency, accountability, and the power of exposure in the process of doing such. Because one thing that we have as advocates and those of us out here fighting on the front lines, 10 toes deep, is the truth of exposure works, people. If I can testify to anything, the power of exposure is real. So the offer's out there, Francesca. I'd be more than willing to have an open dialogue with you anytime, any day.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jen, she never will, because she just can't face the reality. And then all she does is block, delete, and then get whatever little supporters that she has left to try to attack. But like the people who were part of her DC grift in 2018, 2019, when she did this before, where she rented a room and pretended it was like a congressional hearing and it was just a room with a bunch of snacks and them faced at a wall, like just talking to a wall with no one listening. Like it's like the new generation. And like, she looks at these like people who are victims of family court, and I'm one of them. I have not seen my kids since March of 2024. And like, there's zero justification for that. Thank you. And like dealing with corruption, like this is why I started to speak out about everything, because I felt like what happened to me was like insane. And people need to realize that like these are real life risks of reporting abuse, reporting legitimate abuse can have a risk of being accused of lying, and your kid go to the abuser. And then what? And then the system tries to cover up their corruption because they don't want to, they don't want blood on their hands. And so it's like now it's easier.
Women, honestly, too, I will say this, a message out there to the mama bears involved in all of this fight. I feel that, I understand I'm a man. There's a lot of unfortunate, bias in this fight of, battle of the sexes. And quite frankly, that all needs to be brushed aside. This needs to all be a grassroots campaign if we're all going to be out here. Men, women, equally need to be, a part of all of this, but they should be absolutely enraged. In my perspective in all of this, outside the box, looking at this, is I know in the horror stories that I've heard, the women that have been genuinely affected and abused, that are living through that nightmare, that, wake up every day worried like hell, is today the day? Is today the day that I'm going to say the wrong thing? I'm going to do the wrong thing that's going to send them over the edge. I'm going to end up dead today. This is real. This is happening. And it's happening in epidemic proportions all across the country. And it's both ways. And she doesn't understand. I don't think a lot of these narcissists really grasp the cause and effect of the damage that they're causing to these victims, the real victims, the real mothers out there that have genuinely been abused and affected, and their children are being abused, and nobody's gonna listen to them, because so many times, too many times, there's narcissists like this that are out here bullshitting and crying wolf and just blatantly just lying for clout, and lying to make themselves look better, or lying because they know that the system right now is set up and designed this way to turn it into their personal 900 hotline to run to use and abuse. And I will send my apologies out to all of you women victims out there that unfortunately are affected by this, and to all of you that are doing this with nefarious purposes and gains. I would drastically beg you, please, to get a serious mirror reflection of yourself and get some help. Get some help that you desperately need, and stop, because there are people out here genuinely, they're dying. People are dying out here. It's real. So
Yeah.
it's just
And
tragic.
people are getting driven to suicide because of people like Francesca, who say, if somebody's already struggling and then you send 1,000 of your little flying monkeys to go harass somebody, how are you going to feel if one of those messages pushes that person over the edge? Then what? These people don't care. They don't care about anybody. They don't care if your kids grow up without a mother. They don't care about none of that. As long as they're getting their little clout, that's all that matters. And, you know, back to these comments, somebody said they need to come to Wayne County, Kentucky, 42633 in Albany, Kentucky, and look into them. And Kristen, who was also one of Francesca's like supposedly main people, who she posted all these photos with Blumenthal. She was posting her all over like she was her favorite person of all. She said, she commented and said, she loved me before. Hi. You got a little special guest?
Yeah, this is Haley Bear. This is the one that she went national. This is the one that keep Haley home, and I was a victim of paternity fraud and the family court aspect, and they tried to pretty much take her away from everything she knew and loved. And I fought like hell over a year and a half court battles, and wellness checks and guardian ad litems, two attorneys, pro se, and even again, still being a victim of paternity fraud, was able to keep out of the clutches of the system and kept her home.
That's awesome. I'm so happy that, like, you know, when we hear about happy endings and stories that work out, because every day that somebody goes through this, it's like torture. It really is. And you know, about on the subject of what Kristen said, you know, Fran was promoting her like she was the best person in the world. And she wrote that she said she loved me the day before I stood up. She told the whole group how amazing I was the day before she knew I was done. And then she said, since I left, I made it so far. Now my situation is now going better than it ever has. And
Amazing. Good to hear
and so
that.
she actually, I think, was working with a couple of the other women who were part of the FJAA group, and then they saw what Fran was all about. And you know, like Melissa, Kristen, they're commenting how Henry, all these people were part of the group, especially in the Connecticut chapter. Natasha, and all of them saw Fran for what she really was, either confronted her or decided to leave on their own, and then they get attacked, slandered, threatened, other people to attack them. And her new favorite thing to do is to call everybody junkies and drug addicts, because apparently, according to Fran, even if you have a medical card for cannabis, you're a junkie, druggie.
Oh, she definitely hates me for that, considering I advocated like hell here in the state of Ohio, because that's like one of the main big things that they like to hold over people's head. And, me personally, I advocated for it because I'm not going to become the systemic epidemic of the opioid problems that we're having out here, to where it's like, oh, you have a problem, here, pop a pill. And yeah, the declassification, I think, is a huge success. Anyone out there fighting to try to get it decriminalized, legalized, continue to keep doing such. Hats off to you all.
Yeah. And you know, it's so hypocritical of her, because number one, like, I've been told by numerous people that are familiar with her from New Jersey, New York, and in that vicinity, have stated that she supplies her son, who's like 19 or 20, that's a grown adult living in her basement, who she fully financially supports. And she fully funds his pot habit, and that the son literally smokes like an ounce every 2 weeks, and she's paying for it. Every week she's giving him money to go buy pot. So it's okay for her son to smoke recreational pot at her expense, funded, fully financially sponsored by her. But people who use cannabis for a prescription medication, whether it's for PTSD or cancer or autoimmune or seizures or whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is. It's a valid prescription in almost 30 different states where it's legal medically. And like, again, like Fran, she also not only, she's a hypocrite because she allows her son to smoke and buys it, but then she doesn't want people to do it for medicinal purposes. But the other thing is that, she also pushes like prescription meds. And like, I've heard that she works with like nurse practitioners, APRNs, and stuff like that. And not going to say any names, but certain people that are very close with her, especially ones living in New York. She will either partner with people where she's like, like let's say like, she'll say to them, okay, I'll refer you to go to this therapist, or I'll refer you to go to this psychiatrist, and they'll get you
Who is
set
she
up with,
to refer anybody? I mean, my
yeah.
goodness,
And then she's
man.
probably getting a finder's fee. And so it's like she's sending people to go to this and saying, go to this lady that I know, she'll prescribe you Adderall. Go to this lady that I know, she'll prescribe you
Oh my
Xanax. Go to
goodness.
this lady, she'll prescribe you this. And she's getting a cut. She's sending them to people who are abusing their APRN license and prescribing people psych meds, giving them so-called therapy services. And every
That is
single person who I've
enraging.
spoken to, again, every person I've spoken to that's used her services was then retaliated against. And like Melissa, she said that after her involvement with Fran, that DCF then started questioning her about why she's involved with Fran, what she's doing with her, and it suddenly became a topic of contention, with the ex-husband and stuff. So it's like the fact that even being associated with her can be used against you should be a red flag. And then there was another mom who I think she's from Illinois Illinois or Ohio. I can't remember. So anyway, she filed for an ADA accommodation thing, asking for Francesca Amato to be her support person under the ADA. And the court responded and they emailed back, and she like CC'd me on it. And it was like, we've processed your ADA accommodation, and after further review, the court has determined that Francesca Amato is not an appropriate person to be doing this. Therefore, you're allowed to have a support person as long as it's not Francesca Amato. And she's like, oh, that's illegal. I'm going to write a letter to the DOJ. Everything's always, I'm going to write a letter to the DOJ. It's her favorite thing to do. And Kristen said here, I literally did her job for her in DC while she left. I drove through 5 storms, took 27 hours, and she left early and showed up late. And she said Clarice, the assistant Clarice, is her other personality. And then we got a comment. They need to do a documentary of how big a fraud scam artist she is. After I dug into her, I found podcasters exposing her in New York 8 years ago. She has been doing this for almost a decade.
Yes. I believe there was a piece put out by a gentleman named Richard Luthman. He wrote a very extensive deep dive article on her that was pretty profound and exposed quite a bit on her. It was, very enlightening. And every claim that you're making is what I've heard as well, and what I've read, and also what I've heard third party through those who engaged and are victims, just like many all across the country. This is not just hearsay anymore. Once you hear it from one, okay, I understand. You hear it from another person, okay. You hear from another person, and all these people are continuously all over the country, all saying the exact same thing. Well, it tends to not just be a coincidence anymore, and that's when people start to listen and pay attention.
Yeah, exactly. And then Melissa said she will never come out in public. I think this was before when you were saying you're inviting her to have a public conversation with you. And she said she'll never come out public. She only sends her monkeys because she can't lie fast enough for open conversations. And another mom, Natasha, said, I watched her go after mother instead of fighting to get the bill passed. I'm mad it took me so long to see Francesca Amato for what it really is. So-called advocates have hurt my case more than helped it. And another comment, she doesn't care about human life. Healing can tell you she's gotten others killed and never cared one bit. And over here on TikTok, we have, I think this was also read, saying Fran will not do it. She will not do an open conversation. We tried that years ago. And someone said, sorry, who are you talking about? We're talking about Francesca Amato. You are right. They do not really care. They are literally hurting the most hurt people.
Yep.
Such BS. So if you have a glass of wine a day, does that mean you are an alcoholic?
Basically, according
according to the definition of an alcoholic, if you have to have a drink every day, then yes, you meet the definition of an alcoholic. But according to any good disability advocate out there who advocates for people with disabilities, whether they're physical, mental, emotional, psychological, can tell you that alcoholism, drug addiction, all these things are disabilities. They're qualified under the ADA. So I've seen her attack people, basically calling them like acting like they're like slow, telling them things like that, making comments like that about calling them like names like they're slow, calling them junkies, addicts, alcoholics, and like
that
all this
has a
crazy stuff.
massive psychological effect, and especially on those that, like with me, you know, I look like a hillbilly from hell. Had an accident in '02. My whole entire grill screwed up. So human nature, people get on automatically, you know, impressions just off of, you know, book by a cover. They see a guy with a busted grill, automatically they assume, well, he must be doing drugs. Well, no, I've never touched a hard drug in my life. And to have that accusation or that, you know, you know, slander thrown over your head and that label, it's mentally draining to constantly, you're already a victim and then you're having to defend yourself on something that you're not. And it's like, it's messed up. It's so messed up as far as like the psychological effect of it all. And again, the narcissism level, it's like, I don't care as long as I'm getting what I want, as long as I'm getting my little euphoria. And it's like, are you even really happy? Oh, I'll beat one. You know, I don't see
Yeah,
that.
exactly. And it's like I feel like she just really wanted to like milk this for as much as she could with the
Oh, yeah.
views, the donations, the this, the that. And then it's like,
Look
oh,
at
don't
me.
worry, we're still doing this, we're still doing that, whatever. But yeah, and we have another comment here. Back in August, people were telling me they were afraid to leave her group for fear of retaliation. That is scary to me. She fear mongers. Richard Luthman put out at least 4 articles on now. And, you know, like in the past, like Frank Parlato and Richard Luthman were like cool with me in the beginning, and they wrote articles about me that were good articles and like respectful information about me. And then shortly after that, my ex must have paid money to write an article saying X tells his side of the story, which then is filled with like lies and slander and everything. Cause it's like, that's another thing where like, it's not even like dealing with like a narcissistic, abusive ex-husband or ex, like in general, like, and then you have like these advocates who like attack you, and then they'll go and like align with your ex. There's this girl named Elizabeth. Yeah, there's this girl named Elizabeth Protzman. She also goes by Libby Protzman, and she calls herself an advocate as well, but she has teamed up with Francesca, and Francesca was sending screenshots to people last night showing that this girl who's like works with my ex to like slander me and make all these fake posts and all this stuff, she was messaging Francesca, telling her all this stuff about me. So it's like, that's what I mean. Like if my ex is sitting there watching every move I make, and then he sees, oh, look, Francesca posted bad things about you. Now I'm going to go message Francesca. Now I'm going to send my monkeys to go team up with Francesca because I see that she doesn't like you. So now we're all going to team up. And that's what they've done. And so like,
They use the bandwagon approach a lot. I have noticed that. Like what they will do is they will literally go out of their way to sit there and find certain people that also dislike that same person that they dislike, and do the bandwagon approach to, you know, again, the flying monkey routine that you were talking about, to everybody go after this person. My little minions, run, my little minions. And
exactly.
it's sick. It's sick. But I will send also another call out to those that are quote unquote scared of Francesca, Amato. Please, by all means, walk away. Just walk. If you want to leave, leave. Um, I'm pretty sure there are many, 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 many people out there that would be more than willing to openly help you avoid this contract fiasco if you happen to have signed it, or if you feel threats or worried about retaliation. By all means, I'm more than willing to help. But you know, I don't know anything about the legal aspect as far as the contract aspect, but I'll be more than willing to help you find the connections in order to get that taken care of. And also to, you know, I love bullies and trolls. I actually get a thrill out of trolling the trolls. So if you're affected by Francesca, and if you're afraid, come on over here to Justin, and I'll get your back. I got your six, guys. So walk away from
Yeah.
her if you feel like you need to.
And from TikTok, I think Red said, she called my ex. She says, it's all about views and money. She called my ex, my family, my court. When I asked logical questions, she's a snake. People should be afraid. Those people who leave have support. We are there for them. And on Facebook, we had Arizona, Illinois, and Connecticut Facebook groups for the FJAA have all detached from her and the fake bill. There are many states with no following, and the team leads are dropping. And so, yeah, like, and so my whole point is that, like, you know, there's been a lot of people who I've like posted about in the past and like said things about or whatever, usually because like they'll start with me, or like they'll say something or whatever. But like, I feel like I always just try to like put out the like real information about what's going on. And then like their only go-to attack is to then like just like make personal attacks. Like, if you're over here saying that you are running this national movement that's going to change the world and it's going to be the one size fits all solution to save the day, then you need to be able to like represent that. You know what I mean? So, and you know what?
Answer direct questions. I mean, again, you got to be transparent in all this. You got to be real and you got to be honest. And if you're not even willing to answer basic questions, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, don't trust her at all.
Exactly.
And many shouldn't.
Yeah. And like, even to like people out there who I so-called had beef with in the past or argued with or whatever, like, we're going into a new year. I'm trying to have like, you know, good blood going into like the new year and stuff. And so like, I'm open to having open conversation on my podcast. Anybody's invited except my ex, who keeps asking to be a guest. He's not invited. No. But anyone else?
I will say to the ex that wants to, you know, do this, brother, as a man, as a father, I will say, look, please, just, if you can, try your best to sit there and make amends and see what you can do about co-parenting, brother. I'm just going to send that call out, and that's to every parent out here. I mean, I personally, with my exes, I can go for years on all the nefarious bull crap I had to go through, all the hell. But what is that going to do for these babies? Seriously, I mean, what's that going to do for these kids? I mean, learn the value of co-parenting. Learning the value of the way you show love to a child it's spelled TIME. I mean, and you're in, you know, your investment in, and you know, not just what time you spend with them, but again, and these kids need all the love they can get. They need a village more than anything right now. So parents, work out your grievances with each other. Get the hell away from this godforsaken system.
Yeah, that's, you know, as someone who's been dealing in and out of this system for 10 years now, I would say like the best thing you can do if you're just getting started is like try to mediate, try to do whatever you can to avoid going full blown with the court, because once you do, you are in a way allowing them to make decisions on your behalf against your will. And if you can't agree, they'll just say, okay, well, we're going to order this, we're going to order that. And then next thing you know, you're stuck in a situation that you're like trapped in. And, you know, I do want to say one last thing is that like, I think what triggered this whole like anger, outrage and like lashing out by Francesca was because she was mad that like another mom from her Family Justice and Accountability Act group, this mother was facing a potential termination of her parental rights. And she had a lawyer who was like not answering her calls. She was trying to fire the lawyer and go pro se and wanted help, but the lawyer wouldn't even get off the case. And she's like freaking out, calling me all depressed, crying. She says, I'm in the Family Justice and Accountability group. I really want Francesca to help me. I just don't have the $3,000 right now. Wow. And so this mom is telling me that she's working 40, 50 hours a week, making minimum wage. She's scraping by. She can't even pay her bills, let alone come up with this kind of money. So I ended up, you know, talking to her and like, I made like a promise that I would like, you know, try to help people for free, but not all the time. Like, you know, at least an hour a day. If I could do like one day help someone for 5 hours and then I don't help anyone for a few days, whatever. But if I average out to like at least an hour, whether it means like helping somebody like who's stressed out about their case, researching some stuff for them to maybe come up with some things that could point them in the right direction, or helping them walk them through like how to do some papers or something. Or even like sometimes people are like literally calling me like feeling suicidal or feeling like they're hopeless. And so like,
Oh yeah.
even
Many of
like
those
talk to people
calls.
on the phone for hours, like, and
Mhm.
that's helping and stuff. So, and like prior to this, I had started a business called Pro Legal Solutions LLC, which I started in 2021. And like, I had a partner at the time who was a business partner, and he went to law school. He was a lawyer, but he didn't pass the bar to be considered an attorney, but well versed on the law. And like, we put a lot of thought into the business structure, where it was basically like for people who can't afford an attorney and want to try to do things pro se or whatever, like I would offer like any kind of services that are not considered practicing law. And so
Yep.
like, if I said to you, like, I'm going to give you legal advice right now, that would constitute like practicing law. But if you say to me, hey, you know what, like, my ex is violating the court order and not letting me see my child, and I don't, I want to file a motion for contempt, you know, but I'm not sure if I'm doing the paperwork correctly. If you're like walking through somebody how to fill out paperwork, helping them with legal research, you know, even if you're like doing stuff like you know, mediation, things like that,
Yeah.
like you don't need to have a law degree to do these things. And like a lot of things fall under the realm of being like a paralegal, like editing documents, things like
Yeah,
that.
like
Like these are not
grievance
practice of law.
processes and procedures, expediting,
Right.
for the mental health care work and such to get them their case plan management moving faster, things like that you're allowed to do. And like, teaching
Yeah.
someone, not basically telling them, hey, you need to file this motion, this motion, this motion. But also, people need to understand too, when you're giving advice, just basically, if you're giving advice, give your successes. Hey, this is what I personally did with my situation, and it helped. And
Right.
this is in which way it helped me. And that there's no issue with that. But don't ever try to sit there and tell somebody this is what motion you need to file. This is under what law and statute you got to file it under this that. Because then, yeah, you can have the liabilities on you that you're practicing law without a license.
Yeah. Just like if somebody said, here, go invest in Tesla and go sell it next week, and you listen to them and they didn't give you a disclaimer that this isn't financial advice, or someone tells you, go stop taking your blood pressure medication and take this weird herb instead, and then you die. Like, yeah, you gave medical advice, financial advice, legal advice when you weren't supposed to, and now you're liable. But it's not so much as like with Fran, like she'll write in her motion, this is not a motion. No, you don't just say this is not a motion and that it's not a motion. And then she'll be like, well, I don't practice law, but she's literally telling
You're
people that
practicing law.
she works on retainer. It's a $3,000 retainer, $150 an hour for inside court, $130 an hour outside court. Every minute you talk to her is getting a billable hour. And she acts like she literally is an attorney, act like an attorney, because she says, oh, I'm going to represent you during the thing as an ADA. That's not allowed. An ADA person never gets to represent you because they can't. And they just stand there and observe and take notes and hand you papers. And so, you know, it's really just crazy though. But like when I did all this and started this business, when I like still had my kids and everything, and I didn't have problems in the court, like I also was in law school, and I talked to the dean of the law school about it. And we had a long conversation, and he was like happy about my business. He said that I'm smart. He said, this is a good idea. He said, just be careful. He said, there's a fine line. And like from the start, I knew what that line was where I'm not allowed to cross. And like you said before, like I'll tell people like, look, I cannot give you legal advice. I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you my opinion. I could tell you what I would do if I was in your shoes, if it was me. But this isn't legal advice. This, you know, whatever. And like to show people that like, you know, you can still help people. And so what started happening was like a lot of moms and some dads too were coming to me saying like, I need help with this ADA accommodation. And like a lot of people were spending thousands of dollars on transcripts for their case. And like me, and I did this when somebody else told me about this. that if you have disabilities such as like example, like ADHD, you can qualify to ask for as an ADA accommodation to have all the audio and PDF transcripts from all your hearings for free. If they usually tell you it's like $5 a page and it's going to cost you like $3,000 for one
Oh, yeah.
transcript, if they approve you for this ADA thing to get them for free, you can just say, I want the transcript, and then they'll just send it to you. And so that's what they've been doing for me for like a year now. And
see, that
I
right
also
there
help.
alone, see, that information is huge. See, a lot of that's
Yeah.
one of the big questions that we get asked on the continuum of people and because I hear, hey, what way can I obtain the transcripts to where it's not financially bankrupting me? And again, this type of information, exposure, collaboration of efforts, spreading the awareness and the knowledge of information that you do have, this is all vital. And this is exactly how we're able to sit there and win that village mentality, everyone coming together, giving everyone has their little niche, what they excel at, what they're really good at, and, the things that, hey, not my lane, and understanding the value of those and what you're able to give. Again, the selflessness aspect, the more you're giving into this cause, I can promise you, I can testify to this, that you are going to get that karma wise tenfold. So and this is right
Yeah.
now, from what I'm seeing, is Francesca's karma finally coming back, and it's coming back in a flood, in a torrential flood that is, everybody's coming forward, everybody is speaking out, and everyone is all saying the exact same thing, victims and former associates and collaborates alike. So when
Yeah.
again you get the same people, different people all across the country, all saying the exact same thing, tends to not be a coincidence anymore and definitely relevant enough to look into further.
Yeah. And you know what? It's like, a lot of people love to throw it out there and say like, oh, no one should ever be asking for any money if they're going to help you and this and that. And that's a red flag and stuff like that. But I believe that like, nobody should be used and taken advantage of and expected to just do stuff for other people for free. Like if somebody, say, for example, had a nonprofit where they're getting funding through donations, grant money, and things like that, where they have the funding, where then they can set up something where they have advocates who are available to help without you charging money to the people because they receive the funding, because then they're able to pay their advocates an hourly rate. Nobody's going to work for free. And so a lot of people expect to get helped for free. A lot of people just are like, have this like mentality, like they're entitled to just get everything for free and somebody else owes it to them. And so it's like, I feel like, with like what I do and like, what I explained and stuff, like I wasn't doing that for a while. And like lately I started doing it a lot more because people would come to me and ask me for help. And like, they would say like, look, Francesca said she wanted 3,000 and I paid her 3,000 for this. I said, send me the letter that she wrote for you for 3,000. And like, literally like the fact that she would write that stuff and like somehow think that, it's worth that kind of money or whatever. And like, I was just like, wow, how would anyone even think it's okay to pay this much money for something like this? And so then I would tell people like, listen, that's absolutely ridiculous. I could help you. I could do it for you for
lawyers
$100.
don't even charge $3,000 for a retainer.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
Exactly. And
absolutely
it's written by
absurd.
ChatGPT.
And
Exactly.
then
So it's like,
what's so crazy is too that one huge aspect that we've been doing when it comes to the advocacy and those reaching out for help, it's understandable. I mean, and if you haven't thanked an advocate, a real genuine advocate out here, if anyone out there listening, I please encourage you, please do. Give them a handshake, tell them thank you, because it is not easy. It takes a toll, and it's not cheap. If you you got some type of financial capital in order to be able to do this in some way effectively. And with that being said, if you're in here, giving money, so it's understandable. It's those that are actually like $3,000 to talk to me because I have that sense of entitlement. And the way that we've been looking at as far as being able to get the best help, we have seen the most success stories come from those that were the most selfless. They would be going through a case themselves, having issues, but yet they are still out here. What can I do to help the next person? How can I sit there and, collaborate with this person and talk to them? They're having a bad day. And it's those people, believe it or not, that get put up into the head of the spotlight to say, hey, this person needs help. And they have been the most ones that have people flock in order to want to do it. And it really does. It's like, again, the cause and effect of selflessness is key. You
Yeah,
got to fix.
absolutely. And I just put on the screen just so everybody could see, this is what you get for $3,000. And I posted this as a Google Doc. So like this way, if anyone doesn't have the $3,000, all you have to do is put this into ChatGPT, say, please rewrite this, except put my name, my case number, and my disability diagnosis, and draft the same exact letter for me. And boom, it's done in 2 seconds. I put this one. You can see exactly what she wrote. Oh, hello. Red said, hey, it's me, Red, on the Facebook live stream. But yeah, everybody can take a look at all this. I posted all of these, and I took screenshots and posted it too, in case you guys don't want to look at the Google Drive link. But you can see, like, it's a 6 pages, just like copied and paste from ChatGPT. She took the same thing, and where I blacked out, it's like the person's name. So it's like, all you have to do is plug in your name and boom, you got your $3,000 motion. So that's why I said, if anybody needs help with the ADA motion, if you want free transcripts, free audios, I've gotten like 10 different people granted already. So I've been getting those for myself, and every person who I've helped got it too. And everybody is loving that they can get the transcripts and stuff for free. Cause I remember one time I spent $3,000 on one transcript.
Yep.
So it's like,
That is one of
it's
our
really
biggest ones. Everybody, their main
yeah.
complaint, again, that I hear from those that are trying to obtain just the transcripts from their cases is the amount of money that they're legitimately going to have to spend on it. I've heard everything from, $1,000 to, I've heard one person $7,200 for their
Yeah. And when you're
transcript
so
of their
desperate,
case.
like, yeah. And when you're so desperate and you know that you only have a limited window to appeal, you'll pay the extra to get it expedited. Somebody said, go, Justin. What state are you in? Ohio, right?
Ohio, correct.
Ohio. Um, so, but yeah, so, I'm gonna have to end the stream, just because it's New Year's Eve and I'm not gonna let Francesca Amato use up any more of my brain cells for the rest of the day. So, but I want to thank you so much for coming on, and yeah, lastly about this ADA thing. I'm going to offer this for the next 30 days until the end of January. If anyone listening out here needs help with only for the ADA accommodation, whatever your accommodation is, whether you want Zoom hearings, free transcripts, anything, let me know and I will help you get one that is identical to what Francesca offers for $3,000. And
Awesome.
yeah, and then I always share my stuff every time I file things in my personal cases. I post them up in my public Google Drive and I post them on my page so that it's like anyone can then go download it and use that as case law or use it as templates. Like I cite a lot of good stuff in there. So I always share my things with everyone. I don't like gatekeep my filings. And like, I feel like, everyone can learn from each other, and you could see
Amen.
like how I drafted something and I drafted it this way and I used this case law that anyone else could use because it's from the Supreme Court. So yeah. If anybody else listening wants to come on the podcast and speak about any of this about Francesca, we can continue this conversation. I have a lot of people who went in my DMs and had sent a lot of stuff, voice notes, things. I haven't had time to read everything yet, but I didn't, not ignoring you guys. So I will be in touch. And if anybody wants to speak to Justin, he's also on Facebook. And is there any other way people should reach you?
Sure can. We got my the local platform. You can reach me in Ohio. The Ohio Court Fraud Warrior Project, as well as Can't Hall of Shame directly. You can email me at justin@fraudwarrior.org. Anyone that's been affected by the family courts, child protective services, looking for help, or in those that are actually out here wanting to see what you can do to get involved to help fight this. The generational epidemic that ASK was created, hey, please, by all means, get in touch with me anytime. We're looking for frontline warriors to join the mission. So we look forward to hearing from you guys, and I appreciate you bringing me on the podcast so we can speak about this. Again, exposure and awareness is key, and I felt very strongly that this is something that needed to be spoken about. And I just encourage people to just know who your sources are, know who's advocating and fighting in your corner, and just make sure to, protect yourself.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing, speaking up. And, I hope you have a great New Year's Eve. Happy New
You
Year
too.
to you and your family, and just keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. Y'all have a good day, and Happy New Year's to all of you guys.
You too. Happy New Year.